being here today. It's a celebration, my friends. 15th anniversary of a movie we made a few years ago that I have not interacted with that much.
15 years?
And I don't think we've ever shown here. I think this is the first time in the 2 years plus that we've taken over that we're having a screening. And I can't think of a better way to screen it because, boy, we've got a guest in the house. I appreciate y'all coming out. It's lovely seeing so many people in a movie theater, any movie theater on a Sunday afternoon and stuff. When I see this many people in a movie theater on a Sunday afternoon, it takes me right back to my childhood. Sat in this movie theater and saw Blade Runner with my parents and my brother and sister at a matinee on a Sunday. And I was like, please, let's go. It's got Han Solo in it. And so they were like, well, he must know what he's talking about. And my family hated Blade Runner. So I never got to pick the movie again. But years later, I bought the theater, so fuck them. This theater here, kids, is our little passion project, Smodcastle Cinemas. Building you're standing in is over 110 years old at this point. Has been a movie theater for 105 of those years. There was a chance it was going to go away and become condos, but me, Ernie, Jeff, Ashley, Tony got together and bought the place. And for the last 2 years plus, we've been doing stuff like this, not just showing movies on a regular basis. We got 5 screens here, but every once in a while we get to do fun events where, and when I say fun, I get to self-aggrandize my movies. This is the only time I ever see a full house of a fucking Kevin Smith movie. It's awesome. Last night I was in Los Angeles on a stage out in Covina doing Hollywood Babylon, jumped on a flight to be here this morning, landed at 2:05, and now that's why we're starting a few minutes late, man. But absolutely fucking happy to be here. But I'm not here alone, kids. Cop Out was a very singular experience for me. I'm sure you've heard me talk about variations of the story in the past. Perhaps the most challenging film I've ever made. And when you watch it, you'll be like, why? This is pretty straightforward. What I wanted to do, and that was our mission going in, we wanted to make a TNT classic. What back in the day, like TNT would run movies that your dad would watch over and over and stuff. And so going in, we were like, this is a future TNT classic, man. And that's when I went into this flick, I was always thinking about my old man. My old man loved buddy cop movies and stuff. So going into it, we have the best of intentions, and it had its difficulties. Of anything I've ever worked on, there was an element to work through on that movie. And it was challenging, like so much so that the rest of the crew, I'd never seen anything like this in my entire career, coalesced around me and like kind of took care of me because they saw I was really getting it from one area, pretty hardcore and whatnot. So most of the folks, get a drink, folks. Most of the folks on the cast and crew were absolutely wonderful to kind of make up for how challenging one aspect of the production was. The least challenging aspect of the production, though, the person that every day made it easier for me to go to work in the hardest situation of my life. And that, let's put that in context. Like, my job is to make pretend for a living, and it was really hard that time. Keep it in perspective. And I'm sure there are people in the audience who are like, I was out in the cold building a thing. Yes, in all things being said, it was of the things that I do for a living, it was the most challenging. And so, one person particularly, who was also going through it as well and having his own experience throughout this whole process, made it wonderful to go to work every day. Like, without this cat, I don't think I would have made it through the production. I'm not a physical person, but there was a one point in this movie where I got so emotionally frustrated that I went into my trailer and I punched the wall so hard, I left 3 holes in it. Which sounds impressive, but if you've ever been in a trailer, it's paper-thin walls. I felt so strong, though. I would honestly, like, I realized in making that movie that I've been spoiled my whole career. It's easy for me to make Kevin Smith movies, right? But there I was making a movie that wasn't a Kevin Smith movie. We had a wonderful script written by the Coen brothers, and I was working for a studio and whatnot. And it wasn't the normal process for me. And so there was a chance that I was going to be like, fuck this, I'm a quitter. I never really finished anything except Clerks. I dropped out of like Brookdale Community College. I dropped out of the New School for Social Research when I went to school up there and stuff. So dropping out of Cop Out, which wasn't called Cop Out then, it was called A Couple of Dicks when we were making the movie. That was the original title. We had to change it because NBC wouldn't run a ad for the movie during the Olympics that said dicks. Now NBC would definitely do that. Back then they wouldn't do it. So while we were on set making the movie, there was one force that every day made me happy, made me smile. And he's been doing it for many other people. He does it professionally and he also does it personally. But in this case, he was the reason I stayed, because like me, he appreciated being there. Like, you know, we were two kids, grew up watching movies and grew up watching people like Bruce Willis. And suddenly there we were on set. Like, you know, in making a Hollywood movie and in our neck of the woods on the East Coast and whatnot, with a bona fide movie star. So, you know, even though we both had careers and been in stuff and I'd worked with him before in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, we still had this similar kind of experience. Like, this is our shot. And even though it could be difficult at times, he kept it light every day. Every day, like if I had to face an issue, I would turn from it and he'd be there smiling at me, telling me I was about to get pregnant. But this is, we're gonna talk many stories tonight after the screening and whatnot, but this is one thing I definitely wanted to share before we get going. First day that we're shooting, very first scene, it's not even in the movie, it's a scene that we wound up cutting. It was the original first scene in the draft that we shot. The scene that opens the movie now with the interrogation, that we did in reshoots, pickups, like months after we shot the movie and stuff. So the original scene was us in a diner, and it's the two main characters, Bruce and Tracy, across from one another. And they have a conversation about a greeting card. Tracy's character is giving Bruce's character a greeting card because they've known each other for like 15 years or something like that as partners. So before we go, you know, I'm talking to my two actors and gauging where they are. And after I talked to the first, I talked to the second. And I was like, hey, for the first take, let's just stick to the script. We'll just do the script. Because I've worked with them before and I knew, you know, we could take flights of fancy and we could be rolling for a while with funny stuff that is not on the page. But I was like, based on what we're doing here, let's just stick to the script. I think that'll make Bruce more comfortable. And so he was like, all right. And we go shoot the scene and action. At the top of the scene, Bruce starts ad-libbing, like out of nowhere. He's looking out the window, he's like, is that Connie Chung out there? I think that's Connie Chung. God damn it, that's Connie Chung. Is that Maury Povich? I think that's fucking Maury Povich. So I've got him on the monitors, the two of them, man. And this guy is just saying stuff ain't in the script at all. And the other guy who I was like, don't say anything, just stick to the script. Literally, I'm watching his face on the monitor being like, what the fuck? You know, so we do the first take, and Tracy did exactly what I said, just please stick to the script. Even though Bruce went all over the place, and throughout the first take was making a lot of 80s references, referenced Yoda and stuff. You know, and Tracy's stuck to the page. So we do, you know, cut, and we go back to the monitor, look at the first take. And so Tracy at one point goes, Bruce is just making up dialogue. I said, yeah, I saw that. He goes, can I do that now? I said, absolutely. And so now, when we first got to set, very first moment I saw Tracy on set, I said, how you doing? You ready to go? This is again our first day. And Tracy goes, Kev, you know what I watched last night? Frankenstein. And I was like, get out of here. And he goes, you know who really gets fucked over in Frankenstein? Fritz. And then he did a 20-minute bit, like on fucking how Fritz is the fucking the real hero of Frankenstein, and like the one who always gets abused and shit. And I was laughing and shit, and we had to go make the movie. So Jason's like, can I make up stuff? I said, yeah, absolutely, go ahead, man. On this take, he opened the door, so feel free. So we take two, action. And Bruce is looking out the window, he's making up, he's like, oh my God, man, who is that? Is that? And he's naming more famous people from the 80s. And then all of a sudden, Tracy goes, Jimmy, you know what I watched last night? Frankenstein. And I was behind the monitor going like, we're about to get 10 minutes of pure comedy. And Tracy did a brilliant bit that he had just done for me, but gave it even more and did it in his character. And the whole time, Bruce is now looking around going like, is anybody gonna cut? None of this is on the script. That was the last fun moment with Bruce. And now that I put that together, maybe that was the problem, I don't know. But we had, it was, years later, 2 years ago from this point right here, I was in a nut house. I lost my marbles, they helped me find them. Kids, if you ever feel yourself untethered or slipping from the grip of mental health and whatnot, you need some help, extra help. Don't be afraid to reach out. There's no shame in it whatsoever. It doesn't matter what gender you are, how old you are, and stuff like that. I reached out, and that's why we're fucking here today. So while I was in the booby hatch, man, I learned a lot about fucking trauma and whatnot. And what I learned in retrospect was they taught us the term trauma bonding. People that go through traumatic events together who are bound because of it, like because they experience that thing together. And generally it happens, like I said to say, in households with parents who are drinkers or abusive parents or something. The kids become trauma bonded to each other, if not the parent who's not the abusive parent and stuff. To say that I'm trauma bonded to this individual would be an understatement. This cat saved me, man. I would have quit, and that would have been a huge blight on my career and stuff. And and so I could have spun and just be like, oh, fuck the studios and shit. But it would have really hurt my career more than the movie did hurt my career. So I would have left were it not for the guy who made me laugh on TV before I ever met him for the first time on the set of Jay and Silent Bob's Strike Back. Man. One of the funniest human beings on the planet, a man who I've spent enough time around in protracted periods where I would go home and my face would hurt because it had been frozen in a rictus grin all day long because he's just so damn funny. The man who will fill this chair, ladies. Welcome to the stage, the iconic Tracy Morgan!
I wouldn't have let him quit. Wasn't gonna have it. You think I'm doing this shit by myself? I wasn't letting him fucking quit. It wasn't like an experience. I thought you was gonna do something. I seen him putting Vaseline on his face. I said, it's gonna be a fucking fight. Yo, this dude Bruce was like, come on, Kevin, this is the coolest dude in the world, man. I'm making a movie with him. This was like the second movie we did. And the thing I loved about him most was that he let me run. He let me run. Bruce, you fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you. Now it's my turn. And I was not playing. I really saw Frankenstein the night before. And you get stuff out of that. They did fuck up tricks. Frankenstein hung him. We're in here right now talking about fucking Frankenstein. And Cop Out is about to be shown. This is crazy. Had an opportunity to do a movie in my old neighborhood.
Oh, he's from
You think I'm letting him mess that up? My friends, they were proud of me. My family was proud of me. Kevin was proud of me. I mean, one time, I'm diabetic. So my doctor would come to the set. This is the kind of man he is. My doctor would come there. He knew, he'd tell you. My doctor would come to the set every day to breathe my feet. If you look at the movie, one shoe is always bigger than the other because they're cutting flesh out, blood all over my trailer, all over the floor. He would come in my trailer and go, what the fuck is going on here?
I was like, this ain't Saw, man.